talent, influence.
That's what we're here to recognize.
A movement that lives right in our own backyard.
Southwest Florida.
So put your glasses up.
Let's give a toast.
Toast to the innovators.
Toast to the creators.
Toast to the go-getters.
The people who wake up every day with a passion to create.
Not for themselves, but for the benefit of the community.
A community that has no limits.
So let's kick back
and toast
to the Goodfellas. Buenos dias, buenas tardes, buenas noches, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Southwest Florida. Those listening around the nation, it's your boy Alan.
And it's your boy Nicholas.
And we got a very, very special and I think upcoming fun episode for y'all. So make sure to tune in for this whole thing because it's about to get real interesting for sure.
Episode 18, bro.
Alrighty, bro. How's everything with you, bro?
Things are good, man. You know, it's like I only seen you yesterday.
Yeah, man. Yo, by the way, man, Nick can cook up some fire-ass tacos, y'all. So, like, just letting y'all know if you want to follow his snaps and, like, IG stories, he be posting the food he be cooking, man. I'm like, damn, bro, like, that shit's fire. But, you know, talking about these tacos, they're not vegan. And the only reason I mentioned that is because our guest today that we have, her name is Keshea, and she goes by the Vegan Vagina on Instagram. So what's good, Keshea?
Hello, guys. How are you? Thanks for having me.
So yeah, no problem. So what's the background behind that name? I've always wondered that.
First, I want to say that I feel like I have so much pressure now. You're like, this is going to be a great episode, so much fun. I'm like, all right, pressure.
Way to go, Alan.
Because you have a great personality, and I know you. You know, we've talked to Nick before. We've all talked before, so I already can see that this one's going to be dope. You know, like even if we don't try.
That's fair. All right. That's cool. Well, I'm excited to be here. So I think the question was the story behind the name, basically. Yes. Honestly, it was just one of those nights. I was home, probably was, had the herbal flowing, had the red wine flowing, who knows. But at the time, I was just like, I was in the middle of like a rebrand. I knew I wanted to start my business. Mm-hmm. At the time, I didn't know where the hell I was going with it. Can I cuss?
Yeah, of course.
I'm like, because if not, I'll censor myself. Try my best. But I didn't know where I was going to go with the business, with the brand, with any of it. But I knew that it just felt right. So at the time I was on my, really heavy on my, health journey. Really, big. I wasn't, striving for vegan. Mm-hmm. But as I started to make changes in my lifestyle and in my eating habits, plant-based is just kind of what felt best, and that's kind of what I stuck with, and I just kind of was going down that journey. When I established that name, I wasn't vegan at the time, or plant-based is really what I like to say instead of vegan.
Plant-based vagina doesn't really sound as good.
Yeah, it doesn't sound as great, right?
Yeah, so there's no flavor in it.
Yeah.
No flavor, not at all. Right. But I was more vegetarian for sure. I wasn't really eating meat. I had really stopped eating a lot of fast food, and I was really on my conscious eating, conscious living journey. And I knew that I wanted my business. It was an opportunity for me to do what I wanted to do instead of kind of following what other people expected me to do and what society expected me to do. Graduate from college, get a job, a good job with health insurance and a 401k, and then you meet somebody, you get married, and the whole story. Yeah. But they don't necessarily teach you in that process how to a lot of people don't have that encouragement to really just really wholeheartedly follow your dreams. And no matter what it looks like, no matter what other people are going to think about it. And I always used to tell my friends, if I could talk about sex for the rest of my life, I would be a happy woman. And I was like, this is my opportunity to do that. And so I did. And I was like, I don't know, vaginas and vegan, that sounds great, I guess, So honestly, I don't even know the origin story behind it, but that was kind of my thought process of when I was trying to come up with a name for my brand and for my business. So. Mm-hmm.
So walk us through your business a little bit. What exactly do you do?
So my work as an intimacy and pleasure coach is really just sex education, but for adults. Really real, really raw. You know what I mean? Yeah, I feel like we need that shit because, I don't know, like, I can only speak for Americans and, like, you know, what my studies have shown me from, like, the way that Americans have been taught about sex and sex education and, you know, the lack of sex education, really. And so that was something that was really passionate to me as somebody that, as a woman and as somebody who is liberated in my femininity, liberated in my sexuality. And I wanted to not only share with other people my story, but at the same time, I wanted other people to feel empowered because I knew I wasn't alone. I knew that there were other people who wanted to be more expressive, whether it's publicly or just in, you know, privately with themselves or with their partner. And so this was my opportunity to kind of be an advocate, to be like a living example that it's okay no matter what. And like when I told my parents, like I grew up very Christian, like my dad, very, very Christian. Like my dad's dad and his my grandma got remarried, and so she's still married to this gentleman, my step grandpa. So they were both pastors. So my dad's been a pastor's kid, a PK all his life. My grandma's been the first lady of the church. And on my mom's side, like my grandpa was a deacon. My grandma was like first lady. So like they were really high respected, really
it's like green
highly respected. Exactly. Literally, this was my life. I kid you not. And I felt like I had so much pressure to like live under this like microscope of like being perfect, even though my grandparents lived in other states. Like, but my parents still like really instilled in us those same morals and everything. And like my brother was really rebellious in what he thought. He was really rebellious and really open and blatant about what he thought about Christianity and religion. And I wasn't. And at the time I was just kind of like, you know, whatever, like it feels right. Like it sounds good, you know, whatever, I'm going with it. I didn't question it at all. And I still don't question it. But the one thing I knew that didn't feel right to me or good to me was that we shouldn't be acting on our natural urges as sexual beings. I'm like, this is all so natural to all of us. And the reason why kids are literally kids, like younger than 10, are sneaking off and like humping each other and like looking at each other and like trying to figure out is because they're curious. And if we as a society just normalize sex and sexuality and sex education, there will be less room for, you know, I guess people to be curious and I don't know, I guess what people say, fuck around and, you know, get themselves in fucked up situations.
Yeah. What do you think strikes that curiosity for kids?
It's just how we are as humans, you know what I mean? Like, and we never grow out of it. We're the same way as adults, you know what I mean? We just, either we know better and our conscious mind is like, I can't do that, or it's like, you know, guilt or shame stops us from doing certain things, or, you know, it could be a number of things, but it's just how we are as humans.
Yeah. It's definitely, I think shame, you know, really, and guilt really play vital roles. You ever seen the TV show Big Mouth on Netflix?
I have not.
Bro, like they have a whole episode with something called the Shame Monster, I think it's called. Yeah. And like he literally like changes the entire lives of the like characters in the show by making them so shameful of like their thoughts. And it's crazy. Like
but at the same time though, like because of course I'm addicted to this show. But well, the female shame monster, she like the girl becomes like so empowered, and she's like I'm gonna look at myself. She takes it. She's like in middle school, elementary school. I don't know how young they are. Takes a mirror and like she's like I'm going for it, and then she like masturbates for the first time. And I kid you not, like I was in college, and like one of my college roommates, I don't remember what year. It doesn't matter anyways. She had never touched herself, never looked at herself. And I'm like, wait, seriously? Yeah. And like, when I was like, we were all just sitting around before us chatting, and I was like, wait, what? I was like, babe, please do me a favor. And she was like, can you just stop? And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, I'm just like, what? It breaks my heart. And I'm like, when girls tell me that they've never had an orgasm, I'm like, stop the madness. I'm like, if I could solve this problem for you right now, I wish I could.
Is that you're not curious to see how the science of your body works? Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like one of those things.
I've met women that have told me that they don't masturbate or like they don't like toys and things like that. I'm like, that's okay. You're probably just not as experienced in your sexual, experience. Well, I don't know if that makes sense, but you're not just experienced with yourself. And I feel like that's super important to get to know, like, how you are pleased and how you like to be pleased, because it just makes your life better. You know what you like, what you don't like, how far you're willing to go, and how far what your boundaries are.
Definitely. I've been in the middle of some fooling around and been like, okay, do this, and like, oh, do it this way, flip your hand this way, and then he'd be like, oh yeah, I love how you know exactly what you want. And I'm like, but that's just like, yeah, I know what I want, and like I can say it to somebody in like a way that's like
not weird,
not offensive, and not weird, especially in the bedroom where people are very vulnerable. It's like it's like really, really important to just like, it's a sensitive subject, so you want to know how to have that conversation. But yeah, so one of the things that drew me like most recently to go down the birth doula path, which I guess I should maybe specify or like maybe elaborate a little bit more on a doula, but it's a non-medical birth assistant basically in the birthing room, and the history of a doula is goes back to like the ancient Greeks, and it's defined as woman servant, and essentially it just goes back to how women used to give birth when there was no drugs, there was no epidural, you know what I mean? Like you had to figure out, and like we used natural ways to manage pain and to give birth naturally. And to deliver the baby healthily and the mom. So, and ideally, or I guess in those situations, it was normally a team of women who were caring for each other, just making sure that the mom was comfortable the way that she was, and the position that she was in was working for her. Obviously, there's not really much you can do to manage pain in birth, but
you just have to take that shit.
Yeah. However, there are instances of women who've reported giving orgasmic births, which I think is really awesome and really magical, like in a natural birth setting. But that comes from just like really just I don't even know if it's like a high tolerance of pain, but just kind of like allowing your body to just succumb to what it naturally does, and then just experiencing and just being like, how beautiful the process is. But yeah,
I think I remember watching Grey's Anatomy and one of the doctors saying that if you please yourself, it can help, induce pregnancy.
It can actually, yeah. So there are a few ways that you can, I guess, induce labor. If you are a woman who's you're like right there, you're at your due date or past your due date, and you don't necessarily want to go down the route of using the drugs to induce labor. There are a few ways to do it, and I guess this is one of the ways that it is. But it's really just the allowing the cervix to contract, and just like that is really what I guess like tricks the body into thinking that it's time to do this thing.
So would you say that's the healthiest way?
What do you mean to induce labor? I don't know if it's the healthiest way, and honestly, it's really just like a myth that it actually really works. But it's like, I mean, it's a way that you can try, unless But also, people think that if you go walking or like bounce on the medicine ball, like really just any sort of like physical activity, I guess, really. But I don't know if it's the most natural way. But I'm sure a lot of women are like, well, it's my favorite way.
Yeah.
So your clientele for being a birth doula, describe your clientele. Like, how do you like attract your business there? Do you have it like posted up on your social media?
Yeah, so that is one of the things I'm most recently adding to my website. I'm trying to figure out, and I do all of this by myself just because I'm not, I don't know, I guess I'm kind of nerdy like that, but I like to like play around and like design my own websites and stuff, so I do that a little bit too.
It's fun.
So I'm playing with it right now a little bit. It is fun. So I'm like trying to figure out, because the platform that I use doesn't do how I want it to do, so I'm like trying to figure out what.
Is it Wix?
But yeah. It is Wix, yeah. I did Wix like on a blog like back in college when I was, a PR guru, or I thought I was going to be a PR guru, the next Samantha Jones of Sex and the City. All my girls know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so I remember how awesome it was and how easy it was to play with. So that's kind of what I'm using. But I also face the issue on Wix because since what I do, I guess, kind of violates their terms and conditions, I can't
guidelines.
do exactly everything that I want to do on there. So I'm like, I've done so much work on it right now. I'm like, so that's something that I'm going to have to do in the future and just bite the bullet and just completely like transfer everything off of Wix so that I can have complete freedom, which is, as an Aquarius, I'm like, I hate not having the freedom that I want to have. So, like, really
did they restrict you from like posting certain pictures and all that?
No, it's just what basically, since the content is sex positive and like sex forward, basically I can't use their payment platform to collect payments from selling tickets and things like that. So thankfully they have a partnership with PayPal, but not everybody likes PayPal, not everybody trusts PayPal, not everybody has a PayPal account, but thankfully, I guess PayPal obviously recognized that, and they recognized that they were missing a lot of business. So they do make it so that you don't have to have a PayPal account. You can just like click like pay with credit card. But it's just frustrating because a lot of people are like, fuck, I don't want to do that. And so then I get like a lot of messages like, can I just send it to you on Cash App or Venmo? And I'm like, yes, but you can just do it this way too. It's really easy. So I'm like, Wix, just like, let me live. Right?
So in a way, they're kind of saying that sexual content is not okay with them.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like I should petition that because that's a violation of my First Amendment rights.
That's the thing. Like,
it's probably an algorithm that they probably haven't even looked at since they created things.
So should sex be labeled as a bad thing in society?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Yes. I want to know.
I'm gonna say no.
But why? Why? Let our listener know why it is not a bad thing in society.
I think it shouldn't be a bad thing in society because we all are products of sex. Why should we be shameful for something that's a creation of me? Like I'm the living example of sex. My parents didn't have sex, I wouldn't exist. I think I'm fucking awesome. I think I deserve to live. Like I feel like you deserve to live, Nick. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't think we should be shamed for something that is so natural that we create life because that's what we were meant to do. But at the same time, people can still argue, well, that's why we have sex is so we could create life, and that's it, point blank, period. But then I'm like, okay, so then why is our brain, like, why is there a conflict between our brain and our genitalia when I'm like, I have these urges, I want to do this, I'm curious about doing this, but all I've been told is no, I can't, I shouldn't. I should keep my business locked up and my legs put together, but I'm curious about sex, but nobody wants to talk about it. But we're all wired the same way. We're all natural human beings. As I can really only obviously speak from a female perspective, but I think men definitely have a lot more freedom to be sexually liberated.
Oh, I agree.
And yeah. Because I'm like, my upbringing in a very Christian household, from house to house was like, you only have sex to reproduce. Like, women don't necessarily enjoy sex. You know what I mean? Like, it's only to create life, and like that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, so. Like both sides enjoy sex.
If I heard someone say that, like women aren't like supposed to enjoy sex, I'll probably slap somebody. Like, who's you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about.
Would you say? Like, women have, I say, they have easier access to one that has, like, if they want to have sex, a woman wants to have sex, they can have it immediately.
They're built to enjoy sex more than we are as men.
Yeah, because we're repressed in it. So it's like we're holding back all of these things. Of course we want to, like...
I'm saying just the anatomy alone is built. Like, they come multiple times versus us, we come, like, once, every other. We need to refuel.
But see, the time out, though, because that's another misconception, is that the ultimate goal is to actually ejaculate, but you can still have an orgasm, not ejaculate, and still keep going. There's a book. I have homework for the both of you.
Oh,
and any
Jesus.
of my other male listeners, you will thank me later.
You know, it's funny. Before you even told me that book, I already had the idea that can happen because I feel like that's happened to me. So like, and it's crazy because I said it out loud because I don't know what the fuck was wrong. I said it out loud to the person I was with, and she looked at me like I was stupid. I was like, I'm telling you, this is what happened. But, you know, she didn't believe me.
How do you feel like your diet...
Hold on, time out. The book is called The Multi-Orgasmic Man. You're not getting out of this homework. The Multi-Orgasmic Man.
I didn't like homework when I was younger, so...
Me neither.
You'll thank me later.
At least it's interesting homework.
You'll thank me later.
And
you can find it on Amazon.
Yeah, gotcha. And not reading like British literature or some shit.
Exactly. Okay. Cool,
No. But I disagree with Nick in that statement. Like, women aren't built to keep orgasming because all women aren't built like that or can't do that. You know what I mean? It's not as natural for them to do that. But a man can get hard, like, literally wake up. And I'm like, how? Just because you wake up to a naked body? I'm like, it's just that easy
sometimes
for you
just like
to
that.
Just be ready? So I disagree with that statement. But.
So you're saying, should we be programmed to just appreciate the naked body more than just like be sexually just attracted to it? Like, oh my God, like you're showing your cleavage. I want that right now. It's like, no, like appreciate like what that person has.
I mean,
right?
Ideally, like that's you know the ultimate goal. And as you know, a woman who is I feel like that's like I would appreciate that, but it's kind of like you want what you can't have. It's like what's forbidden. It's like it's even more interesting. So
forbidden
it's like
fruit.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
I'm sorry, but the cover turns me off to not reading it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll still read it, but like they need to redo that cover.
What's the cover,
bro? I'll show you the cover after.
We'll share it on our story. We'll share it on the story too. Yeah. We'll share it on our page.
Yeah.
Or not.
So I want to get back to the type vegan plant-based type of diet because we touched on it a little bit. I brought it up in the beginning. I introduced you as the vegan vagina. So how does your diet, like, how does that impact like sexual performance in general, like for anybody?
That's a good question.
Well, I think that there is really this like misconception that you can eat pineapple the morning of. 3 hours later, magically, the sperm that you've been putting and like feeding toxic food and fuel for weeks is going to just magically just be canceled by this like few chunks of pineapple that you have like 3 hours before you get some fellatio, whatever. So that's just not how it works. And so for a few different reasons, I don't believe in diets. I don't really like that word. I think diet has a negative connotation. I think that the most important thing that we can do for ourselves, health, sex, life, whatever, is to really just change your lifestyle in general, or just like, and changing your lifestyle and thinking about like, because I feel like when you diet, you think about everything you're giving up. And you don't think about like the bigger picture of like everything you're going to gain.
Yeah.
And how awesome your life is going to be and how much longer your life is going to be. Which also translates into sex, which how much better your sex is going to be and how much longer potentially your sex can be, which is one of the benefits of your diet and changing your lifestyle in general. So, and your eating habits, I guess I'll say. So changing your eating habits. So, changing your eating habits and like having a more plant-based diet can like I said, like improve the taste of fluids in general, but change the way that your body responds to different situations, how it's stimulated differently, and definitely relates into like stamina also. But I think there's like a holistic aspect to it, like diet and exercise definitely go together, or food and exercise go together. Obviously, if you exercise, your stamina's better in the gym, your stamina is better in the bedroom. So they definitely go together. So, I mean, one without the other, yeah, it's like it's half of the puzzle, but yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not primarily plant-based, but I've heard that what you just stated in regards to like changing like that diet, because it could just trickle down to how you perform like when you work out, you know. And obviously sex is a workout unless you are just completely like very vanilla about it.
You're just laying down.
You're right, just laying down. You're not having fun. You're not twisting, turning, doing these, you know, positions. I mean, we don't gotta get too much into it. We could, but I'm just saying, like, you know, it's a workout. You're supposed to be working out together, you know. And like that's the thing with sex. Like, and this might sound very egotistical to say, but technically the positive about it, if you want to look at it, like you both are exercising in a way, right? I mean, your body should be exercising.
I could picture Alan right now. I'm like, hey, what's up? You trying to go exercise?
Trying to do some push-ups?
You trying to do some push-ups?
That's not my line. but like
stretching.
I mean, think about it like this. I'm not gonna go too much into detail, but you're both having fun. You're both exercising, so there's two benefits: a mental benefit to it, and there's a physical benefit to it. So why is it so looked like frowned upon? You know what I mean? Obviously, there's a lot more detail that goes into that, but like in a nutshell, very broad. That's what I think of it. Mind you, I'm not going and just freaking sticking myself in anything that walks on the street.
Good for you.
And very protective over it too. But at the end of the day, like people are so quick to think about like the negatives of what can happen. They don't know about the positives.
So I have a question for you. You obviously probably know some people who are very open about their sexual lifestyle, and they share with you their experiences. Has there been anything like that you could think of a person like who has had like a really good sexual experience, and how that kind of, you know, goes with their personality versus like someone who doesn't really have good sexual experiences, and how their personalities are different? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I feel like one would be a happy-go-lucky versus the other would probably be stressful.
Yes and no. Because if you think about like Jim Carrey and Robin Williams, they both, I mean, and other people too. Those are just the two off the top of my head. Was it Jim Carrey? One of them, one comedian. Definitely Robin Williams. I don't know. Let me not speak off the top of my head. Definitely Robin Williams. Either way. There are people who are very, very troubled, you know, struggle with depression and anxiety, but they put on a really brave face and they mask it with jokes and comedy and laughter. So really yes and no, but I think that I don't think it's like necessarily like a personality trait where it's like really telling whether somebody has like a good relationship or a bad relationship, or like a good experience and a traumatic experience with sex. But I think it's definitely like, I think it really truly is like indicative in relationships, friendships and loverships, specifically loverships. Somebody that's had like a really like sex positive upbringing about sex, they could either be, you know, uninterested on being, you know, very, I don't want to use the word. They could be uninterested in having multiple sex partners. They could be like, I love sex, but like I'm just, as the type of person that I am, I like to be monogamous. And they can still have a good relationship with sex and want to have sex with so many different people. They want to have, and what they want to have is they're non-monogamous, and that's just the way that they've been wired all their life, even though they've been taught monogamy all their life, but they're non-monogamous and they want their marriage to be open. They want to swing. They get sexually turned on by seeing their partner getting pleased by somebody else. But they've had a good relationship with sex. And then on the other side, you could see, I don't know, somebody who has a negative relationship with sex, who maybe was abused in the past, either like as a kid, or maybe they were like raped in like college or sexually abused in college or something like that. And maybe they have bad relationships with people who they let take advantage of them, whether it's a lover or a friendship. And I think that's something that I've been really passionate about, and specifically on like protecting my peace and educating other people on, is like that toxic relationships don't just come in the form of lovers. They definitely come in the form of friends also. People who, you know, claim that they want the best for you, but don't show you respect and like, you know, verbally degrade you, like, you know, don't give you like the respect that you need, don't emotionally support you, don't cheer for you when something good happens, you know what I mean? But we still keep them around. We still are like, but I love them, like, but they did this for me, but you know, we've been through all of this, you know, but they still let these people mistreat them over and over and over again. And I think those are some of the signs that you can tell that somebody may have a negative relationship with sex, or something like that. Or maybe it's negative and maybe it wasn't traumatic in their experience. Maybe they weren't sexually abused, but maybe they just were uneducated and they grew up in like a really Christian household and they really clung to those really Christian morals and ethics, and they just don't really know much, and they just, you know, even though it's not negative, it's not toxic, it's uneducated. And so they're just like, I don't know what to do with it. And, you know, I don't know what to do with my feelings and like everything that I want. Like, I don't know what to do with my body. And like, and when I am having sex, like, it's awkward and I'm not enjoying it because he's just doing what he wants and I'm not getting what I want. So I guess it could go either way, really.
Do you feel that it is important for, let's say you're talking with somebody, you're in the talking stage, do you feel like it's important to wait off on the sex, or like to kind of like explore yourselves mentally and physically?
Yes and no. I think that it's important to compartmentalize people and situations and friendships and lovers. And I think that I think a lot of times, and it's kind of as women, because I feel like the only time we feel like we can have sex without guilt, without our own guilt, is to be in a relationship with somebody and have sex with somebody. So we kind of are really quick to jump in a relationship out of that reason, and maybe out of just like, maybe like loneliness, like not wanting to be alone, whatever. I kind of forgot the question. I'm sorry.
No, what I was saying is like, do you feel like it is important for people, like you're in the talking stage and it's like, oh, let's just hold off on the sex?
I think it's important to just have the conversation about about expectations, and like, you know what I mean, like, and know what you're going into that relationship for. Like, if you meet somebody and you're like, I just want to have sex with them, like, I think they're probably annoying and like they can't offer me anything else, but I'm physically attracted to them, I just want them for sex, and fine, you know what I mean. But have the conversation. Or whether you see somebody that's like, you think it might be wifey material, you know what I mean? You think it might be like long-term, you know, what might be worth entertaining, whatever. But regardless of what it is, and especially now, like, we're adults, you know what I mean? Like, there's no reason to like meet somebody, oh, we just matched on Hinge and we went on one date and now we're both pretending like we're not talking to other people. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, who's like, come on now. Like, nobody's that dumb. Like, let's just be honest. Let's lay it all out on the table. Let's lay it all on the table. Let's just be honest. Like, what's going on? Like, what are we looking for? You know what I mean? Like, I think you're dope. I'm dating other people because we hadn't had the conversation about it being exclusive, you know. However you want to wrap it up, but obviously, like, don't go in it with like the intentions of like being an asshole and like hurting the person's feelings, you know. But like, be honest.
Yeah, building that friendship, I feel is really important.
Because you never know. If it doesn't work out, like, you and that person, like, I have friends now that like we definitely started out dating, went on a few dates, and now we just like talk business, we go grab a cigar and a drink and we just talk shit and we're like friends, you know what I mean? But like, because we had that respect for one another to just treat each other like a human being.
How do you feel about people who just like to have sex with a bunch of different people?
Yo, just wrap it up. That's how I feel. Like, do everybody a favor. Like, do yourself a favor. Like, if like, do what you want to do. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, no shame here. Like, I don't care, male or female, trans or what. Like, I don't want to be specifically like gender neutral, but like male body, female body, whatever you have, like, live your best life. Just be safe. Just be educated and be safe. You know what I mean? Like, that's the most important thing.
I also have another question. It's going to sound really ignorant, but I don't know how else to articulate it. But I've heard someone give the advice of saying that it's healthy for like people to have their hoe phase, and I'm using quotation. I know, but I don't know how. I know, but
it's not you that I'm mad at. It's society that I'm mad
at. Yeah, because from what you've been talking about, it's not. It shouldn't be labeled as a hoe phase. We should we should appreciate each other's body.
Yeah. We need another term for that.
We definitely do need another term for that. And I think the term is only there because, like I mentioned earlier, like where women feel like the only time they can actually have sex guilt-free is in a relationship. So then they get in this relationship and then years go by, they've wasted time, they've wasted their life, the sex was whack, like it wasn't even that good, his head was whack too, like everything was just all bad, but he was great on paper, and like, I don't know, like I thought we'd get married, and blah, 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 we've all been there, like I was that girl too, you know what I mean? And now we're just like, all this pent up sexual energy that is so natural, anyways, all of these things like pent up sexual energy, pent up aggression, and so the quote-unquote hoe phase, men do it too. The only, like, you know what I mean? But
they're
only
just
women
not shamed for it like that.
Yeah, exactly. Only women get labeled with it. But if there was no stigma around the way that women quote-unquote should date or should enjoy sex or should have sex, there would be no hoe phase to even fucking talk about.
I feel like it's more of a sexual awakening.
I agree with you.
Let's change it to sexual awakening.
Nick, that's it.
Yeah, look at me.
Y'all heard it first here. Toast to the Goodfellas.
Hoe phase is dead.
The hoe phase is dead.
Yeah.
Sexual awakening. That's what it is.
I feel like that's super important to have.
Absolutely.
And everybody that is not necessarily ready for that awakening, it's okay.
It's okay.
Study up on it.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. It's never too early and it's never too late.
I agree.
And you can have more than one.
Yeah.
Live your best life.
Yeah, and you're right, because a lot of like men don't feel guilty about the quote unquote not hoe phase, but
it's sexual awakening.
Sexual awakening phase. But like honestly, like at least me, like I wouldn't feel okay with that. Like I'm not just like it's not healthy to just go into, especially if it's unprotected. Like if it's unprotected, like you got
a problem.
Yo, come on, yo,
that's
like you gotta do better. Like that's very reckless. Is like you're not only impacting you, like you're only hurting yourself, you're hurting other people too, because you don't know who that person is gonna be with. And it could be men or women, like. But yeah, sexual awakening. I love it.
I'm here for it. I love it. You heard it here first.
Right.
You heard it here first.
So I feel like, in general, we want to paint the picture that sex is something that is going to be positive. We don't want to paint the picture in a negative light anymore. We want to paint it in a positive light. So, you want to be responsible, right? I think that's something that we could all agree on. But B, you want to also just be educated. And I feel like Keshea here, she's the epitome of being able to educate people on what you should, I guess, how you should go about learning about your own sexual desires and things of that nature.
You make people feel okay. Like I feel like you really make people like okay. It's
just
okay
the vibe
to like have those feelings. Like even if you hide yourself, like I feel like women or men, if they don't want to have sex, like they can hide it and all that, but they still have the urge, and it's okay to let that out as long as you're, as Nick said and you said, you are educated and safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, everybody has that feeling. There's no way of escaping that feeling. There's no way. Scientifically, the human body can't get away from that. It's all about the hormones.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just science, people.
Exactly. Don't be scared of science.
Yeah, we could literally go like talking about this all day long. Like I feel like we could have multiple podcast episodes about sex. But we do want to get to our last question, which I'm sure you've heard the question before since you listened to our show. But we have this tradition on our show where we ask our guests to make a toast to Southwest Florida. So in this particular question, we're going to ask you. You want to do the honors, Alan? You want to ask it the question?
I'll practice. I'll practice asking the questions as I introduce the guest this time.
You got this, bro.
If you were to make a toast to Southwest Florida, what would that toast be?
I want to just be like, wrap it up. No, no, but like really though. I would just say, I don't know. I didn't think about it. I know you told me to think about it, but I didn't. But I would just say, like, continue to just be free, continue to be free. I know this area is, like, it's really small, so a lot of times, like, discretion is, like, out the window, and, like, maybe, like, you kind of, like, feel like you can't be the person that you want to be, like, wherever it is, but I feel like, as far as sex goes, like, just be free. Like, there's so many positive things that can come out of sex, just like understanding yourself better, like feeling more confident, feeling healthy, like I mean, just I don't know, curing a fucking hangover with an orgasm. Like honestly, like I could go on and on and on, but like the most important thing is just like feeling free and like letting your mind be free, because you know when you know the mental health is a motherfucker, and like you know repressing those sexual feelings and like trying to you know follow somebody else's footpath and living under someone else's scope is you know not doing you any good, and you know you deserve it. You deserve to be just free and you know live your truth.
Love it, love it.
So be free, everybody. Be
free. So Keshea, where can they find you? Where can they learn more about you?
So you can find my website at www.theveganvagina.com or theveganvagina.com. You can also find me on Instagram at theveganvagina_. And those are my two main platforms right now. We'll be expanding, I'm sure, as soon as I get my life together. I'm not like a technical whiz, so like editing things and all of that, like it's the best of me and I get frustrated, so.
Trust me, trust us, we go through that sometimes.
And we have some contacts too, so if you need some help, we got you.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. But you know, just a quick note, like to everybody who listens to this, like obviously, thank you so much again for listening to one of our episodes. But I think the main thing here was very very important what we touched on, just to be comfortable with yourself, you know. But it's important to stay educated and safe without. But you could be free, but not reckless.
Yes.
You know, and that's what we encourage everybody. That's what Keshea encourages through her coaching. And I urge like everybody listen to this, like men and women, to reach out to her, you know, if you need advice, because you know Keshea knows her stuff. She does a lot of research, and she's building her own brand. So shout out to you, Keshea.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you, Alan, for highlighting that too. And I also want to thank EQ Recording, because they allow us to be free and say whatever the hell we want to say. So thank you, Josh.
Shout out, Josh, in the recording room right now. Thank you so much once again, my guy.
Absolutely. This is episode 18.
In the books.
In the books.
You already know the vibes. We out.